You are here right now for a reason, and this moment is not random. Sometimes life becomes very quiet, and in that silence your heart starts filling with questions. Doubt grows slowly, fear speaks softly. But deep inside, in that calm place where your real truth lives, you already felt that something important was trying to reach you. What you are about to hear is not empty talk. It is not just another passing message. It is an answer to the questions you have been carrying in private, the ones you asked in silence when nobody was around, the ones you sent into the night hoping something somewhere would answer back. And maybe that is why you stayed. Maybe that is why you clicked. Because part of you already knows this message touches something real. You have felt a connection with someone that goes beyond logic. It does not fit into normal words. It does not stay neatly inside reason. At times you told yourself it was only wishful thinking, only loneliness, only a dream your heart created to protect itself. But listen carefully, because this matters. What you have felt is not false. That pull in your chest, that deep energy rising when this person crosses your mind, that strange feeling that you have known them far longer than this life could explain. None of it came from nowhere. None of it is silly. And if you stay with me until the end, you may finally understand the sign you kept overlooking. You may have noticed how this connection keeps returning, even when you try to turn away from it, even when you decide to be done, even when you say to yourself that you will stop thinking, stop caring, stop hoping. Something still brings you back. It is gentle but strong, quiet but impossible to ignore. And that is where many people become confused, because they mistake this return for weakness, for emotional dependence, or for some stubborn attachment they should be ashamed of. But that is not always what it is. Sometimes it is simply recognition. Sometimes the soul notices what the mind is still trying to deny. You have asked for signs before. You have looked for clear proof. Maybe you asked in your thoughts. Maybe you whispered it to the sky. Maybe you begged for one unmistakable answer. And yes, signs did appear, but they felt too small, too subtle, too easy to dismiss. A look that lasted a second too long. A silence that somehow felt louder than words. A message that seemed simple on the surface but carried something deeper underneath. The shift in your energy when this person comes near, or even when their name enters your mind, these things matter more than you think. Real love does not always begin with dramatic confessions. Sometimes it begins in stillness. Sometimes it hides inside tiny gestures. And sometimes silence says more than the words, "I love you," ever could. So keep listening, because the truth may already be closer than you realize. What makes this harder is not always the other person. Very often, it is the old pain already living inside you. When true love enters your world, it does not always feel peaceful at first. It can shake your balance. It can wake up every fear you buried. It can make your heart race and your mind panic at the same time. That is because real connection touches the places in you that never fully healed. The soul may recognize someone in an instant, almost like seeing its own reflection, but the mind is slower. The mind remembers heartbreak. It remembers disappointment. It remembers what happened the last time you opened too much, trusted too fast, believed too deeply. So when someone comes into your life carrying an energy that feels powerful, soft, and strangely familiar, your defenses rise. Not because love is absent, but because love is finally strong enough to reach the places fear used to rule. That is why you spend so much time wondering if this is real. That is why your nights become longer. That is why you go back and forth, thinking maybe they feel it too, then doubting everything the next day. But hear this clearly. Your confusion is not proof that the bond is fake. Your confusion may be the exact sign that something real has touched you deeply enough to bring your hidden wounds to the surface. And if that truth hits you hard, stay with it, because this is where the message begins to change everything. There may have been a moment, maybe recently, when this person became quiet, maybe colder, maybe harder to read. Maybe you felt the distance growing and your heart immediately translated that distance into loss. You thought silence meant the feeling was gone. You thought space meant rejection. You thought the connection was fading and that all your hope had been foolish from the start. But do not rush to that conclusion. Distance can feel painful, yes. Silence can be brutal, yes. But silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes it is a stage of the story. Sometimes it is part of the lesson. Sometimes when two people are drawn together by something deeper than surface attraction, the heart feels it long before the mind can understand it. That is why this whole experience has been so difficult to explain. You are trying to use logic on something that was first felt in spirit. You are trying to measure what was never meant to fit inside neat rules. And maybe that is why you needed this reminder today. This connection was not sent into your life just to hurt you and disappear. It came to transform you. It came to challenge old ideas, expose old fears, and teach you that not everything real arrives in the way you expected. So before you tell yourself that their quietness means they do not care, pause, breathe, watch more closely. Because sometimes the deepest feeling is hidden in what someone cannot yet say, not in what they say too easily. If you really want to understand what is happening, you have to notice the battle inside you. There are two voices speaking, and they do not sound the same. One voice is loud, restless, and afraid. It pushes, it assumes the worst. It wants proof right now. It tells you that if they do not call today, if they do not say the exact words you want, if they do not move closer this instant, then the whole thing must be over. That voice is shaped by fear. It was built from old pain and self-protection. It wants to keep you safe, but it often does so by destroying peace before peace has a chance to grow. Then there is the other voice, the quieter one, the steady one. It does not scream. It does not panic. It does not beg. It simply knows. Even in the middle of uncertainty, it leaves a calm feeling somewhere deep in your chest, as if a part of you understands that things are still moving, still unfolding, still becoming what they are meant to become. That quiet knowing is different from anxiety. Anxiety is sharp. It is urgent. It makes you check your phone again and again. It makes your stomach tighten. It drains your energy. But true inner knowing feels still, even when it hurts. It carries peace beneath the confusion. And if you have felt that calm hidden under the storm, then pay attention. That calm is often one of the clearest signs that what you are feeling is not fantasy. It is deeper than that. It is honest. It is alive. And yes, it may be asking more from you than ordinary love ever has. Look at your emotional history for a moment. If you have been betrayed before, abandoned before, or made to feel small before, then your mind learned to expect pain even when love seems pure. That is not weakness, that is survival. But survival is not the same thing as truth. The mind begins to project yesterday onto today. It tells you this person will hurt you too. It warns you not to trust the softness, not to believe the kindness, not to lean into anything that feels too good. Yet the deeper truth may be this. You are not only questioning their love, you are questioning whether you can hold a love this strong without losing control. You are wondering if you are truly ready to receive something larger than the patterns you have known. And that is a painful but important realization, because this connection did not arrive only to bring romance into your life. It arrived to raise your awareness, to stretch your heart, to show you where fear has been leading for too long. Every time doubt rises, it gives you a chance to see the wound behind it. Every time panic appears, it gives you a moment to choose healing instead of reaction. That is why fear coming up does not mean love is disappearing. It may only mean that an old injury is being touched so it can finally be released. If you react from panic, the cycle repeats. But if you stay present and see what is really happening, the fear begins to lose its power. And when fear loses power, truth becomes easier to hear. Now let's talk about the part that confuses so many people. If the bond is real, why does the other person seem distant? Why do they pull back when the feeling gets stronger? Why does it seem like one soul moves forward while the other hesitates? The answer is not always simple, but it often comes from intensity. Some people do not run because they feel nothing. They run because they feel too much. Your presence may have awakened something in them that they were not ready to face. The emotional depth may have stirred their own unhealed wounds, their own fears, their own buried memories of rejection, loss, or not being enough. When a connection touches someone that deeply, it can feel overwhelming. Beautiful, yes, but also frightening. So they step back. Not always from you, but from what they feel when they are with you. They pull away because the emotions become too strong, too exposing, too difficult to control. This is why distance should not always be read as lack of care. Sometimes distance is self-protection. Sometimes silence is a pause while someone tries to make sense of the storm inside them. And if you have been the one reaching, wondering, chasing clarity, trying to fix what became uncertain, understand this too. The more fear enters your energy, the more pressure the connection carries. And pressure makes retreat more likely. Stay with this part, because it matters more than most people realize. There is a pattern many people fall into when strong feelings are involved. One pulls away, the other reaches harder. One becomes silent, the other becomes louder in effort, if not in words, then in energy. One runs from intensity, the other chases reassurance, and the more that cycle repeats, the more painful it becomes. But this is exactly where a deeper lesson appears. You do not end this pattern by forcing more. You end it by returning to yourself. That may not be what the anxious heart wants to hear, but it is often the truth. When you chase from fear, you send a message that says, "I need this to feel whole." And that energy creates pressure. But when you come back to your own center, when you begin healing, when you stop making another person the source of your peace, something changes. The pressure softens, the energy becomes safe again. You stop pulling at the bond, and the bond has room to breathe. This does not mean you stop loving. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop abandoning yourself in the name of connection. And strangely, that is often when balance begins to return. When you stand in your own light, when you choose your own growth, when you stop begging life to prove your worth through someone else's behavior, the entire frequency changes. That is when the other person can begin to feel the shift. That is when space stops feeling like a battlefield and starts becoming a bridge. And if this part speaks to you, keep going, because the next truth may be the one you needed most. This period of distance is not always a punishment. It can be preparation. It can be the space where false things fall away and real things become strong enough to last. The time apart may be doing work you cannot yet see. Old fears may be clearing. Old attachments may be breaking. Old beliefs about love may be dissolving. What feels like chaos on the surface may actually be a hidden kind of order. Life sometimes separates people for a while so each person can grow where growth is still needed. Not so they can forget each other, but so that if they come together again, they do so from strength rather than desperation, from wholeness rather than emptiness, from conscious choice rather than emotional hunger. That is why this season asks so much of you. It is trying to teach trust, not blind trust in fantasy, but deep trust in timing, in inner truth, and in the understanding that what is real does not need to be forced every second to remain real. You may not see the full picture now. You may only feel the ache, the waiting, the uncertainty. But the fire that feels like it is burning everything down may only be burning away what was never solid enough to stay. What remains after that process is often clearer, cleaner, and stronger than what existed before. So do not treat this chapter as empty. It may be doing sacred work in silence. And some of the most important turning points in life happen where nothing seems to be happening at all. One of the undeniable signs you may have missed is not some dramatic event outside you. It is the truth of what happens inside you. Beneath the fear, beneath the overthinking, beneath the mind's constant effort to make sense of every small detail, there is still a quiet recognition that refuses to die. No matter how many times you talk yourself out of this connection, something in you returns to the same knowing. Not obsession, not fantasy, knowing. That matters. And there are outer signs too, but they often come softly. The way this person looks at you when they forget to guard themselves, the respect in their energy, even from a distance, the softness they cannot fully hide, the way their silence feels full rather than empty, the way small interactions leave a deep impression that ordinary connections never seem to create, the way your whole inner world shifts when they are near. And here is something else many people ignore. If this bond were false, it would usually fade when ignored. It would weaken when denied. But this has stayed. It has remained through distance, confusion, and your efforts to shut it down. That does not automatically mean every outcome will happen exactly as you wish, but it does mean the feeling itself should not be dismissed lightly. Some connections leave because they were only temporary. Others stay because they came to change you, learn the difference. And if this is reaching you right now, then maybe you are beginning to see that the proof was never as far away as you thought. The hardest part is learning not to measure love only by immediate action. Yes, words matter. Yes, clear choices matter. Yes, healthy love should not leave you in endless confusion forever. But while you are inside this chapter, it is important not to mistake every delay for denial. Some people need time to move toward what their heart already feels. Some people need to fight through their own fear before they can stand steady in love. That does not excuse harmful behavior. It does not mean you should accept less than respect, but it does mean not every quiet moment is the end of the story. There are times when love is growing underground, where no one can see it yet. There are times when silence is not emptiness, but incubation. There are times when both people are being changed separately before anything can become clear together. Your task right now is not to force the final answer before life is ready to reveal it. Your task is to remain honest with yourself. Stay grounded. Stay awake. Stay connected to your own worth. Let your intuition speak louder than panic. Let your peace matter more than your fear. And above all, stop making the absence of instant proof mean the absence of truth. Sometimes the real sign is that, even after all the noise, your deepest self still feels the same calm whisper saying, "There is more here than the mind can explain." If that whisper is still alive in you, do not ignore it too quickly. So what should you do now? Come back to yourself, not as a way of giving up, but as a way of standing in truth. Pour your energy into healing what hurts. Strengthen your peace. Build a life that does not collapse every time someone grows quiet. Let your heart stay open, but let it become wise too. If this person is meant to walk fully beside you, they will not be drawn back by pressure. They will be drawn by the energy of someone who knows their worth, someone who no longer chases from fear, someone who has turned pain into clarity. This is how the cycle changes. This is how you stop repeating the same wound in a different form. And if the bond is truly real, distance cannot destroy what is meant to grow stronger through truth. Space cannot erase what the soul still recognizes. Time cannot cancel what was sent to awaken both people deeply. So trust what is being refined in you. Trust the strength being built in silence. Trust the healing that is happening, even if you cannot measure it yet. One day you may look back and realize that this confusing chapter was not there to break your heart, but to prepare it, to clear it, to teach it how to receive something deeper than the kind of love built only on fear and need. And if this message found you at the exact moment you needed it, then maybe that is your sign too. Not loud, not dramatic, just clear enough for the soul to understand.